Today's video is another video in my 2025 goal setting series. Today, I'm going to be brainstorming some of my goals. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Tracy and I'm a girl with plans. So this is actually the second time filming this video. The first time I was actually doing my brainstorming on camera, but I just can't think and film a video at the same time. It just doesn't work. I just can't do that, especially when it comes to brainstorming. I hadn't really previously thought about my goals. I like to do it on camera and I thought it was a great idea and it just didn't work. So I'm gonna now just kind of go over my brainstorming, and hopefully that will make a better video and a shorter video. So here is my 2025 goals journal. This is now, I guess it's technically third or fourth video, because the reason why I say third or fourth, I filmed a video that went up on Friday. I will link it down in the description box. It is my physical and nutritional wellness goals for the first half of 2025. So this one, instead of doing quarterly goals, I did it for the first 6 months. I did reflections, I did brainstorming, and then I set the goals. I actually divided them into 6 categories. I did like physical, then I did fitness, then I did nutrition, then I did wellness, then I did self-care, and then I kind of did overall because I had the extra space. But then there were some goals that like I wrote, like I need to reflect, reassess, and make changes regarding these goals. Definitely check out that video to kind of see the whole process in one video and kind of see how this is becoming pretty much one of my main focus areas in 2025, as it was in 2024. Even though I didn't do well, it still was a main focus area this year. Okay, so with that, let's kind of get into here. Now, last time when we were talking about my overall goals, we kind of went through my reflections, which I did in this notebook. And I kind of answered questions about lessons learned, what worked, what didn't work, what were some wins, things like that. And then the last part were some intentions. It was some reflections from 2024, but then it was kind of like what I'm looking forward to or what I want to do in 2025, what I want to say yes to, what I want to say no to, and things like that. Well, what I did is I copied them over here and I actually ended up adding to some of them. I'm not going to necessarily go over it because I feel like this, even though I did this literally, I transferred it into this notebook maybe 4 days ago or so, something around that. I feel like they still kind of guided this. And specifically what kind of guided this was my focus areas. They kind of guided these categories. Now, when I talked through my goals journal setup, I talked about how I was not going to do the life categories when setting my goals. And when I talk about the life categories, those are like the life categories you find in a lot of goal setting systems. Moxie Life is a prime example. There's also like the level 10 life, which has some like life categories as well. But those life categories are, I mean, a lot of them you will see in some way, shape, or form, but they are like home, work, financial, spiritual, personal, health, relationships, recreation and fun. So the things like that are kind of like those like life categories. And I felt like for me, they were just boxing me in. But when it comes to brainstorming, I did feel like I needed some sort of categories to kind of organize my thoughts. So what I did is I kind of created those categories based on things I want to focus on. So we're going to ignore the first category. Let's just start from the back. Now, I did kind of summarize the brainstorming, but we won't get to that yet. So the categories I created was creativity and learning. And that is basically what it says. Creativity can be like decorative planning, not necessarily the planning part of planning, but like the creative part of planning. Creative part of bullet journaling, my social media type activities. But then the learning part is just like learning a new trade, taking a new class, taking on a new hobby, things of that nature. Then I have an adulting section, which for this section I chose to like single out finances and home, but that can include anything that is adulting. These are things that are kind of consistent among a lot of people's lives. Like even if it's not home, it's home in the sense of where you're living. So like home, like cleaning schedules and things of that nature. But adulting can be so much more than that. But those are the two areas that I just chose to focus on. Then I had socializing. So that is kind of just getting out and doing social activities, whether or not they are with families or friends or kind of by myself. That's why I kind of wanted to hone in on this as a separate category versus everything else. And then I have connections, which are connections with family and friends. And then I have adventure, which is more of just doing things, new experiences, new adventures type things. Personal growth or personal development, that is a category that I've had issues trying to figure out what to put in it. This year, I'm kind of thinking about building my self-confidence and things of that nature is kind of what I'm treating the personal category is, which is positivity and building confidence. And then I have my mental health. And then this first category, and the reason why I wanted to go over this last, because this is the first one I will kind of go over now, is kind of the foundation. I called it framework, but it really is the foundation. And the reason why I created this category is because sometimes this is considered like part of your personal development, personal growth. But I feel like it's this category that must be included pretty much every month. And because I'm going to have to find a way to improve or to reach some sort of level, whether it is actual my goal or just some sort of improvement in order to even reach some of these other goals. And I'll just kind of quickly go over that. So the first one is routines. And I'm going to kind of flesh these out just a little bit so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. And when it comes to routines for me, I kind of broke them down because when I am brainstorming, I just like put pen to paper. So I'll write my overall thought about what I'm thinking that needs to improve in my life and what I might need to make a goal out of. But then I'll just start breaking it down. And some of these include action steps and some don't, just because, like I said, I'm just writing. So when it comes to routines, for me, there's 4 routines I want to focus on. That's my morning, my midday, my evening, which for evening, it's typically like after work. So like between like 5 and 7, and then bedtime. And then when I started thinking about that, I'm like, well, hold up. Those routines can actually differ multiple times throughout the week, especially the midday and the evening routine. And they differ because, especially with me, I have a hybrid schedule where I may work in the office one day and then the next day I'll be teleworking. So I'll have 2 different like weekdays. I'll have 2 different types of schedules going on, which means my midday and my evening schedule may need to change or be altered. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, my Saturdays and Sundays actually look a lot different too, mainly because my Sundays are kind of my prep days. Those are the days I'm doing like my weekly resets. I kind of like look at the week ahead, start doing some like planning. That's when I'll do any type of meal prep, if I'm on my game about meal prep. But so like my Saturdays, I don't really do that, but my Sundays do. So that way those kind of differ. And again, it's mainly the midday and the evenings that differ. The morning and the bedtimes usually stay consistent. The only exception is vacations. Vacations, the bedtime routine is not going to, it's going to be non-existent. But like, again, I wrote all that down because it's just something I'm going to have to think about when creating my goals. And then I put making the most out of idle time because it's also going to play a role with my routines. Can I make these longer routines? Because I do tend to have a lot of idle time in the evening where I'm kind of de-stressing from the day. But can I do a fun, creative learning kind of thing in that spot? Because it's not an actual, it might be a way to de-stress, but actually achieve another goal that I have. The other things, or the two things, I guess I'll start here, is like daily planning. That's a part of the foundation. And that's because I need to know what's going on in my day to be able to figure out how to plan my routines and things like that, or how to even figure out how to incorporate my action steps into the day. So that is part of the base and part of the framework. And then we have the mindset. And the mindset, I have struggled with. I have struggled sometimes to be positive about certain things. Sometimes, like I said, we found that out if you didn't pick up on it. I know I said it a couple times, but you probably picked up on it when I was doing my reflections. It was just hard to find the good things that happened throughout the year, or the wins that happened, but it was really easy to pinpoint on the failures. So I really need to work on that positive mindset and like look at the positive areas of every situation. And I do think that's something that I need to practice daily. And with that also comes with reducing stress as part of it. But I need to focus like on activities or actions to help calm my mind. And then I just wrote like journaling, meditating, affirmations, gratitude. Again, those are action steps, but I just kind of threw them in there because it was part of my brainstorming. So then from there, actually, I don't know if I intended to do it this way, but mental health is probably the next biggest category. So I have my physical health, which is a huge category. I didn't put it in here because I've already done the brainstorming elsewhere. But mental health is a huge focus, and it has to do with this mindset piece. It really does. But I really need to focus on mental self-care. And I mentioned during my reflections that like physical self-care will sometimes overlap with that. Like getting a massage relaxes you. So therefore you are kind of taking care of yourself both physically and mentally if you get a massage. But at the same time, I need to like focus on a mental outlet, and that needs to be a daily mental outlet. And that again is journaling. There we go again. Therapy, creative projects, meditating, things like that. I just need to figure out how to calm the brain, stop the brain from always overthinking and always running rampant. I need to find that mental peace type thing. And that kind of coincides with the lowering the overall stress and anxiety. The one thing I really want to do this year is my daily check-ins when it comes to stress and anxiety. That was something that I was kind of incorporating in my daily fitness and wellness log. And that was pretty much thanks to the self-care box that Archer and Olive had in February. They had this really cool stamp set, and the stamp set had a stamp to rate your stress levels for the day. And I was incorporating that into my daily planning at times. It definitely was very inconsistent. But even when I did that, I would like write my stress levels, and sometimes I would be like busy day at work. But I really need to dig deeper into that, because is it as simple as, oh, I was busy at work? Does that mean that that is what caused my stress? Because I feel like sometimes stress and anxiety isn't always a result of external factors. I feel like there are things that causes stress and anxiety that's just due to internal factors, like something as simple as nutrition or even that negative mindset. So I want to be more aware of where my stress and anxiety levels are, and then kind of look at what could be causing them. So I definitely want to kind of put that in the forefront this year, and then work on ways to kind of like reduce that overall. And then we have the personal growth, and that is going to be building confidence. That is huge for me. That actually was not something I focused on in 2024. It was something I thought about doing for a word of the year, but I didn't. I mean, it could still be in the running this year. I don't think I put it as one of the brainstorming contenders this year, but it's something that I think, because confidence in a lot of areas of your life could be great. But I definitely need to build my confidence. And I put in there ways to do that is through socializing, affirmations, self-care, learning new things. I think all of those are examples of building confidence. So when it comes to this particular category, I feel like action steps that might meet other goals might also help this. So I feel like that's something that might actually help me because I'm moving away from like the category system of like even action steps. Like I'm not going to have the 8 life categories and create action steps for each life. I'm going to have a goal category, and that goal category might have the same action step as another goal category. So I might only have 4 action steps for the entire week, 1 week, but it might be covering a whole bunch of goals. You'll understand as it goes through, but I'm just trying to explain my new thought process of approaching these goals. And there we go again with positivity, the whole changing the mindset thing. This is what I feel like confidence and positivity will help me overall with personal growth and development. So then we have adventure. And adventure is pretty much a copy and paste from last year. So when I'm thinking about adventure, again, this could vary, but I have travel, I have exploring like locally, like exploring my local area, like visiting museums, wineries, and things like that. Outdoor activities, because when I was doing my reflections, I said that one of my regrets was not getting outside more, because I feel like that might help with my own mental well-being. So I definitely want to do some more outdoor activities. And then I put new hobbies, because when I was going through this, I'm like, oh, well, hobbies might not always be outdoors, but so I like new hobbies, like an escape room, axe throwing, stuff like that. It could be new hobbies. Then the next section is more like connections or relationships. And I broke it down into family and friends the same way I did last year, but I'm kind of keeping this together because a lot of the goals surrounding them are kind of similar, or like what I would need to do to kind of help with those connections. So when I talk about my family, it's just my parents. That's who I'm referring to. And last year, this was the exact same. It was spending quality time and then making memories, which means doing some fun things with them. Because like when I was going through my reflections, there were definitely, when I was going through my 2024 highlights, they were like things that I did, like events or activities. So I want to do more of those. So that way it's a longer list this year. The same thing with friends. I actually have that on here with friends too, but I need to work on keeping in touch like that. I don't need to put with the family because I do that all the time. And when I talk about friends, the extended family is included in friends. So like cousins and stuff are in this category. Making the time to connect with the friends, that's the big one. And then I need to go ahead and coordinate outings. And then I put social and then made it izing. So I need to socialize. And this is, I need to get out of the house more. I need to do more fun social activities multiple times a month. I need to, like this year, I put like 1 time a month and I never even did that. But just because I didn't do it 1 time a month, I still need to push myself this year and try to do multiple. And that could be anything. That could be anything. It could be a festival. It could be a weekend trip. It could be something over here. I need to maybe do some solo outings. And then I said, obviously a big part of socializing is pre-planning, especially if you want to like hang out with friends and go do something social with friends, and you have to plan that in advance. But I also need to get comfortable with spontaneity, and like maybe changing my plans in order to fit socializing in. Maybe reducing the YouTube to put socializing ahead of that or something like that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying like things like that, like prioritizing it too. And then I put get out of my head, because I mentioned that during my reflections as well, is I definitely talk myself out of things the more and more I get in my head. And with socializing, it's really easy to get in my head and talk myself out of things. So I really need to get out of my head. We already talked about adulting in my sections. My home section is pretty much what a lot of people have with like cleaning routines, decluttering routines, yard upkeep. And I did put completing home projects. There are specific ones that are on my brain that I know I need to finish. For finances, I believe I had mentioned this at some point last year about spending on experiences, not things. But I also need to spend on experiences and self-care, but not things. And that means that when I'm looking at budgeting, because obviously I want to be more intentional with my spending, more mindful with my spending, or just with my finances as a whole, I know that I need to save money. However, when I'm budgeting, I need to also realize that sometimes I might need to make a larger budget for things like social events or social activities or for self-care. But at the same time, I also need to rein in and make lower budgets for things like crafting or things, because that's just things. It does make me happy, so I don't want to do a zero spend, but I definitely need to be more mindful of what I need versus what I want. But when it comes to experiences and self-care, I think I need to categorize those more as needs versus wants. So then the other parts of finances are pretty kind of, increased savings, focus on investments and things of that nature. These are things that probably won't show up a lot on my regular goals. I think I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do this year, because I think that there are going to be goals that I'm going to focus on. But I think what I may end up doing now, just thinking this out loud, is I think I'm going to have to come up with a list of things that are going to be action steps that are just going to be there every single month. Or, they might be there every single week, but they're just going to show up at least once a month, if not multiple times a month. So things like the budgeting, things like the savings are just going to always be there, and they're going to always be there. They'll be there in 2026, 2027, even if I'm at the top of my game when it comes to spending. Now, I do want to also mention something when it comes to this, and it's not necessarily about finances, but it reminds me of something. The reason why I am shying away from doing categories when it comes to goals is because with finances, if I was to look at my finances right now as a whole, and I was to try to rate myself on a system of 1 to 10, like a lot of the goal systems ask you to kind of rate where you are now at your starting point. When I look at my finances, I honestly would probably rate myself about an 8. Because I currently don't have really any debt other than my home. So I have a mortgage, so that's debt, but that's the only debt I have at the moment. Because I don't know, this video has a long life on YouTube, but at the current filming, I do not have any debt but my house. So my overall goal, my overall assessment would be an 8. But if I start looking at bits and pieces of finances, and if I looked at spending, for instance, my spending would probably be at a 5 or maybe even a 4. That is way different than the 8. So I don't feel like the 8 tells me the whole story. So I feel like even breaking down my assessments and within the categories, or to be specific with the goal, tells me a lot more than the goal categories. So yes, I just broke free from the brainstorm to kind of give you that side thought, because that is kind of why I'm changing up how I do my system. And then that brings us to the very last category, though, which is creativity and learning. I already explained what that means as far as how I'm defining it. But as far as creativity, I will have separate goals. They will probably be in my fitness. They will probably be in my social media planner. I probably won't go over those on the channel, just because I know that they aren't really relevant to a lot of viewers. They're not really exciting or anything like that. So I probably just won't. It's not that they're private. I just don't feel like most people really care about those. But I do want to learn some new software. That has something to do with that. But then for the other parts of learning, is I just love to learn. I feel like it's a huge creative outlet for me too. As I'm a very creative and curious person, which is why I like to learn. I actually loved it when I went back to college to get my master's 10 years ago now. I really enjoyed it. But that's beside the point. So I want to learn Spanish. I really want to learn a foreign language, but Spanish is the chosen language. If for some reason I end up planning a trip for 2026, then that language may change to wherever I'm going. We'll have to see. I really want to learn about astrology. I've always wanted to learn about astrology. And that has even intensified since going to Egypt. And I also want to practice calligraphy, because I have so much. I have all these calligraphy notebooks. I have the Happy Planner notebook that you write in. I have sketch pads that's supposed to help with it. I have some things that I bought from Hobby Lobby that also teach you how to do hand lettering. I have so many calligraphy specific pens, and I've never done it. So I need to do that. But a lot of this are things that I could do when I'm doing the idle time. So I don't really feel like that's going to put a lot on my plate, because I feel like those are things that I can kind of just sneak in to my daily routine when I'm trying to fill some of that idle time, because I feel like some of this might actually be distressing. I guess I'm thinking calligraphy can like work to like reduce my stress, right? Unless I can't get a hang of it, and then I'll be stressful. All right. So now I'm going to tell you my plan. So I kind of just summarized some of the stuff here, but I'm not going to go over that because I think it's going to be repetitive, because what I think I'm going to do now is based on what is standing out here. I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of pick out my focus areas for 2025. And when I say focus areas, they are the things that I really know that I am struggling in and I am lacking in. These are things that are probably going to be continuous focus areas throughout the year. So these are going to be the basis of my goals. With that said, I may not have goals that are for each of these focus areas all the months or all the quarters. I also may have additional goals that pop in that have nothing to do with the focus areas. But these are the focus areas that, after doing the prep work and the brainstorming, are just areas that I find that are lacking, that I feel like I need to improve upon. So I definitely want to separate them, highlight them. And I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pull out the focus area and I'm going to kind of write my why. So let's go ahead and let's try to do that one on camera, and we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a focus. I'm going to do like the category, and then under it, I'm going to kind of say like what I want to achieve out of it. So I think we're just going to start with, all right, so the first thing I want to focus on in 2025 is routines. And what that means is, all right, so the first focus area is routines. I want to focus on setting and following routines that fit my lifestyle and incorporate other goals and areas of focus. Bam. One is out the way. Now, like I said, I might put physical on here just because I feel like it is something, like, while it's maybe not necessarily, wasn't part of my brainstorming in this book because it was somewhere else, I do feel like I need to talk about it. So now I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to flip back. And then another area that I want to focus on was, I said like self-love, but it's real like self-confidence. It's like learning to love yourself. So the focus for here, so basically when it comes to self-confidence, I just want to feel better and confident about who I am, even on my worst days. I want to learn to love my flaws. That's the one thing. It sounds so simplistic, but it really isn't. It's really a hard thing to do. I hope I have enough of these boxes. Yes, I should. All right. I feel like there's going to be like 8 of these now. Somehow 6 has grown to 8. And in my brain, it's like once I start focusing on one, I forget about the other one. So I want to focus on connections. Okay, this one ended up needing 2 boxes because it was connections. I said, even though I am a strong, independent woman, I need to interact and spend time with others. I need to prioritize checking in with friends and coordinating outings with both friends and family. See, I feel like this kind of just sums up what I just kind of did, but it's nice to have it all on one page, and I'm kind of giving that like reason why, my why. Okay, this was just, I need to get out in the world and meet and mingle with people, which is interesting because anybody who like travels, You can like tell me if you've kind of experienced this. Like if you, especially if you're a hermit, if you're more of a hermit when you're back home, but like when you travel, a lot of times when you're traveling, especially if you're a solo traveler, everybody wants to talk to you because you're less intimidating because you're by yourself. But when I've even traveled with some of my friends, people have come up and talked to us because, you know, when you're traveling, you want to talk to people from other places. Like you don't just want to talk to the people you're traveling with because you see them 24/7. So you really want to chat with other people. And it's like, it's so easy to socialize and you learn so much about other people. So this is just about learning about people and learning about yourself. But then when I get home, I just don't do that. It feels like it's so hard to do it. I can do it so easily when I'm traveling on vacation, but when I get home, it's like hard. So I know I have my physical wellness, my mental wellness. I want to kind of hit those last. The other things is like new experiences. I put new experiences and I put, of course I started so low, so then I had to break apart. This is not only about finding joy and having memorable moments, but also about learning about myself. I find that when I do new experiences or new adventures, I learn so much about myself throughout the process, whether it's something that's challenging or just something that's different. I just find that I learn something about myself. So I just always like, that's the reason why I always like to kind of focus on the like new experiences and things like that. All right, now we're going to get to the fun ones or the difficult ones, however you want to say it. So this, we're going to say this is my physical. All right. So for physical health, it's pretty simple. I just want to be as healthy as I can be. So I feel better, look better, and just live better. I mean, that's pretty much, live longer is, one of the reasons, but it's just want to live better. All right, y'all. So I think I'm going to do 2 here. All right. So it's like, I want to focus on self-care of the mind that's calm, quiet, and reduce stress. And then positivity and optimism are key focus areas to mental well-being. And then finally, now I don't really have it here because I have the social activities, the connections, which I have all that there. I have mental health, physical health, routines. I do think I want to put on here, like, it's kind of with the new experiences, but I'll say learning. So I said learning, finding ways to fill the curiosity, whether it's through a new class, hobby, or travel. All right, guys, this is a productive video. So I like where this went. I will say I had a little bit of an advantage because I wrote all this stuff down in a video that failed, that I'm not publishing because it was a hot mess and I wasn't chatting. I was just brainstorming. But then after I did it, I verbally went through it with you guys on this video. So I actually went through everything twice, which kind of helped me a little bit, like pull out these like things that kept repeating throughout several categories or things that I know that I'm seriously lacking. If I really did well with these, my entire life would improve. So I feel like going through this twice, in a sense, really helped me become clear on this. So yeah, I think this was a great video. I think it was great as far as now I feel like I'm in a really good place as far as my 2025 goals. These are pretty much, I feel like, the basis of my 2025 goals. I don't really do annual goals. So this kind of is my 2025 goals in a way. I will be doing quarterly goals and I'm going to pull from this. But like I said, I'm going to pull from these, but I'm not going to pull from every last one of them. Some things will overlap. I'm just going to keep these focus areas in mind that these are the areas that I really want to improve in my life. So when I start thinking about goals, I need to keep these areas in the forefront and pick goals that will work on improving these areas of my life. That is kind of the general idea behind focus areas versus goals, at least for me. I am not an expert, okay? Not at all. This is just something that I did last year. And even though my goal process wasn't the greatest last year, I felt like it did work by coming up with focus areas. And I didn't really do my why last year, but I feel like my why actually helps explain it better. If I fall off track, maybe I can come back and be like, okay, this was the intent behind it. I need to get back on track with this and not fill in another definition of this that is easier. Because sometimes you do have a tendency to do that. Speaking, when I say you, I mean me. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm liking where this is going. Like I said, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to like dive into what I want to accomplish for the first quarter. I think I'm getting close to trying to figure out what my word of the year is. I have no idea what the word of the year is. I have like 20 words that I picked out that sound cool. I think my problem is I'm trying to find words that fit all areas of my life, and that's just impossible. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pick one area, one word that is something that I really want to do this year as a whole. I might pick a different word for physical wellness, health and wellness, but we'll see. But yeah, so I'm not sure what video is going to come up next. I'm going to kind of just see how it goes as far as goal planning. It could be word of the year. It could be my quarter one, because I definitely have to get into my assessments. I have to get into my assessments. Like I said, my assessments are not going to be my life assessments or my, life category assessments. They are going to be assessments based on my goals. So I am going to have to set the goals first, but if my goal is, all right, let's just do a practice one, because we can pretty much say what it is. So I know a goal is going to be routines, right? It's going to be setting and following routines that fit into my lifestyle, right? That's probably what it's going to be. I'm going to set an assessment of my routines right now. Like, how am I doing with routines? On a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing with routines? That is what I'm going to assess. See, generally, this would be part of my personal category, like if you were following Moxie Life or something. But my personal life assessment might be even higher than what my routines assessment might be, or vice versa. My routine assessment can be higher than what my personal would be. So I do like assessing the actual goal and seeing how that assessment changes. And that way I can actually see where I am on that particular goal versus the life category. Because I feel like my life categories are just kind of all over the place, to be completely honest with you guys. But that's it. Again, another chatty video, but these videos are going to be always chatty because it's just about writing stuff on a page. I did get kind of fancy and I set up my cover page finally. I used quote stickers from Martina's Sticker Company. I always have everything I use down in the description with any types of affiliate links or affiliate codes down there. Those links usually tell the shop that I sent you. So sometimes I earn a commission, or sometimes I just get acknowledgement that I sent a customer to them. But there are discount codes which also help save you some cash. So I really do appreciate if you do shop through those links. I also did my name page. This is, I did everything with Cricut is what I did. What else did I do? Well, I did that. You can see for this whole first area, I'm doing the pink, but that's going to go away. That's only for this prep work. The prep and the annual stuff, once I get into the quarter, I think I'm going to do different colors for the quarters. But this washi is what set the theme for the color. It was all the washi. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I really, really do hope you are enjoying them. I know these videos are not everyone's cup of tea. I know these chatty videos are not everyone's cup of tea, but I do hope some of you out there are enjoying them, and hopefully you are planning some of your goals along with me, and maybe me just talking through mine or helping you with yours. or it's just helping you take time away from your other busy schedule to actually set some of your own goals. So like I said, there are going to be a few more videos coming your way in this series, but then we're going to be done and we're going to be ready to hit the ground running, right? In 2025, we're going to make it the best year ever. Every year has to be our best year yet ever, right? All right, guys, I do want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to tune into this video. If you enjoyed it, press that like button. If you have yet to subscribe, I hope you will consider subscribing. That is finally all I have for now. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night. Until next time, bye.